Good day everyone. So for today's video, I am going to discuss to you about the types of coffee roast and coffee grinds. So without further ado, let's get started. So we have here four types of coffee roast. First, we have the light roast. Second, the medium roast. And third, the medium dark roast. And last is the dark roast. So now let's proceed to the light roast. Light roast. Light roast coffee is characterized by a lighter color, a matte, dry texture, and a higher acidity. So here in the light roast, there's a taste of less bitter and more sweet flavor. And it cooks in a short period of time, and when we see the first crack signals, it means it reaches the light roast. And one of the fact about the light roast is that there's a higher acidity content on its beans. Medium roast. Medium roast is a balanced roast level, falling between the light and dark roast, known for its well-rounded flavor profile, moderate acidity, and a slightly fuller body compared to the light roast. So here in the medium roast, as we notice, there's a difference in terms of color in the light roast and medium roast. Because here in medium roast, the brown color and rarely has an oily surface. And these coffee beans have a medium content of acidity compared to the light roast. Because like what we have mentioned earlier in the light roast, the more we roast the coffee beans, we lessen the bitter taste and also the acidity content of the coffee bean. And one of the fact about the medium roast is that Dunkin' Donuts uses Arabica beans, which are roasting in a medium roast. Next, we have the medium dark roast. Here in the medium dark roast, there's usually has a heavy body and the flavor may be spicy, perhaps with a bittersweet tang, subtle chocolate and caramel flavors, and hints of smokiness. So here in the medium dark roast, this is the important process of roasting the coffee beans because here you can be able to meet the preferred taste of the coffee that you'd like to achieve because the coffee beans contain so many flavors and it's up to you how are you going to take it out or how are you going to achieve the taste of the coffee that you wanted to achieve because like what I mentioned, coffee beans has so many flavors and here in the medium dark roast it is the part where you can able to relocate the preferred taste that you'd like to achieve. Lastly, we have the dark roast. Here in the dark roast, it has a boldy, smoky flavor and chocolatey flavor that achieves a longer roasting process that we roast the coffee bean, the more we lower the acidity content in the coffee beans. And here in the dark roast, we achieve the full-bodied taste because when we try to taste the coffee, there's a kind of smoky flavor inside the coffee and you will notice that there's kind of chocolatey flavor because it achieves when we try to roasting the coffee bean in a long period of time. And now, let's proceed to the types of coffee grinds. We have the extra coarse grind, medium coarse grind, fine grind, and extra fine grind. So now, let's focus on the extra coarse grind. Extra coarse grind. Here in the extra coarse grind, it is best for cold brew coffee. And when we try to grind the coffee beans, we try to achieve like a broken shells like ground peppercorns, or we do not tend to overcrack or overgrind the coffee beans. Coarse grind. Here in coarse grind, medium coarse coffee grind used in specialty devices like the Cafe Solo and the Chemex brewers. So here in the coarse grind, it is similar to the extra coarse grind, but we had to add a little bit of time to grind the coffee beans. So for us to achieve the similar look of the sea salt, and it looks like a breadcrumbs. And now we have the medium coarse grind. So here in the medium coarse grind, the coffee bean grind should be similar to the consistency of regular sand. And this part would lead us to experiment the grinds to know if it's bitter or sour. Because like what I mentioned earlier in the types of roasting, that there's so many flavors inside the coffee beans. And for us to able to achieve the preferred taste of the coffee that we would like, we need to experiment so for us to able to achieve the taste of the coffee that will suit for our preferred taste. Next, we have the fine grind. So the fine grind is best per espresso. And in this part, we achieve the coffee grinds like a pure sand in a beach. And one of the way to make the fine grind is there's a required pressure for us to able to achieve the fine grind, because the more we put a lot of pressure on the top of it, we can achieve the fine grind. And lastly, we have the extra fine grind. So the extra fine grind is a little finer than the table salt and usually extra fine for Turkish coffee. And it feels like powdery and light, like a confectioner sugars, like what we are using in baking. And one of the reason why we try to grind our coffee into extra fine grind, it's because when we find our coffee beans really well, the brew time process is so short. And that's the end of my discussion about the type of pros and coffee grinds. Thank you for listening and see you on my next educational videos. Bye!